But here we are. We're at the big moment. The Rock makes his way to the ring. He calls out the Big Show and he says he's going to check his fat ass right into the SmackDown hotel. And then the countdown comes up onto the screen and it counts down to 0. We get a little bit of a light show. The lights go out. Big pyro pop. We get the music. And then Jericho flips up onto the screen. And Raw is Jericho. Jericho is officially in the WWE. And it's one of the biggest reactions you will ever see in wrestling history.
This was absolutely awesome. And according to JR, the Millennium Countdown and this intro were all Jericho's idea. Yes. And apparently this was the company carrying favor with him because he was coming off that WCW run where his good ideas were either shut down or snuffed out before they could really take off. And this was their way to say, okay, brother, let's see what you could do.
And that's actually a really interesting point that you made there because Jericho has talked about this before where he was standing in a post office and they had that countdown to the millennium thing in the post office. And he was like, that'd be a great idea for somebody to debut at WWF with. And he's like, oh, why don't I debut with that in WWF? And he literally took it to JR immediately. And that's where the Millennium Man was formed.
And J rhymes with K. It's perfect.
It is perfect, actually. Y2J is...
Yes, it's perfect.
Perfect. Yes, literally a match made in heaven. So Jericho says he's the new millennium for the World Wrestling Federation, and he is your new hero and most charismatic.
The quote was, your new hero, your party host, the most charismatic showman to ever enter your living rooms. I thought it was great. I had to write that down word for word, man.
Yeah. But my favorite is when he says he's the Ayatollah of a rock and a roller. I love that. That's one of my favorite Jericho sayings outside of Ass Clown, but that doesn't come till later, so we'll cover that in our 2004 shows.
Yep.
Well, The Rock is standing in the ring, and the crowd is chanting Rocky. Jericho says he's come to save the WWF. He says The Rock is an idiot and that Jericho is excellence. The Rock raises the mic to his face, says after 3 boring minutes, The Rock says, know your role and shut your mouth. He calls Jericho a jabroni, and how could he not have enough class to introduce himself? Jericho goes to say his name, and The Rock cuts him off with, it doesn't matter what your name is. The Rock says Jericho has the Y2J plan, but The Rock has the KY jelly plan. He's going to lube up his 13-inch boot, shove it sideways, and stick it straight up Jericho's ass. And this was so good. What a debut. Let us know in the comments what you think about this debut, because it's by far the greatest debut, I think, of all time ever.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. And normally, like, sort of to differentiate ourselves, we try to do these time capsule shows. This is where we are. This is what's being reporting. But because of this being such an epic moment, I did want to give a little bit of contemporary context. So JR said on his podcast, whenever he and Conrad had covered this recently, that not only was the countdown Jericho's idea, but they threw him into the fire right away with The Rock, and he immediately looked, felt, and acted like he belonged. He said that Brian Gewirtz produced The Rock's dialogue here, and as absolutely molten over as The Rock was, Jericho stood toe-to-toe with him in a long promo segment where others would have been intimidated and probably faltered in that moment. And especially when they start chanting Rocky, like The Rock's such a star and Jericho doesn't waver, dude. He just sinks his teeth into it further, digs in, and is just being just whiny heel. And also, dude, I remember him saying that there was heat on him at that time from that promo.
Even whenever he was on that Broken Skull Sessions a few years ago, he said, what I didn't realize, once again, I'm just playing a character on a show, calling everybody amateurs and boring. And you could probably say it from your side. I got a lot of heat from the dressing room, from the locker room for that as well. And because what people don't understand is that the Monday Night Wars, like, they were real. It was real to them. There's a division. It's like AEW versus WWE. So by saying that kind of stuff, you know, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to get so much heat for saying these things and everything I've said, but you take that out of the equation, though, like this is really awesome. So after Jericho's debut, and after all of the stuff that we've talked about tonight, just when you thought we weren't going to mention him, Big Shot Bob is backstage looking for the Big Show as we head to commercial.
Dude, I couldn't have sighed harder here. Like, because I'm still a Bob Holly guy at this point in time, but I'm like, dude, what a juxtaposition that we go from The Rock and Jericho to, hey, where is he? Where's he at? I'm going to find him.